Good morning, good evening, good day. Hi, I'm Elisa. This is Elisa Maria Designs. Welcome to my little family that's back, and welcome if you're new. I hope that you find something here, especially today, that resonates with you on Self-Care Sunday, which is what I do on a Sunday. We talk about how we can incorporate some self-care into our meditative art of diamond painting. Well, what happens when the diamond painting becomes the burnout, right? I experienced this, and it's really interesting that I was going through my notes and little notes that I was taking. I love my Galaxy phone because it has a little pen that I can just jot everything down. And I was like, well, okay, I have a bunch of notes, and all I need to do is put them together and look at them and be able to make sure I have the key points that I want to approach. And I had already did all that. I did all this back in August. And I think if I've been diamond painting now going on 6 months, I started in June. So I think maybe I did start in May, because I think June began summer with the masters. And that was when I experienced my first bout of diamond painting burnout. And I was doing something with the masters. I kind of did it off the cuff. I didn't know if I was going to do it. It was like I really didn't know that much of events, being a new diamond painter. How does it all work? What do you do? What do I need? But I happened to be in a Michael's, and there was Van Gogh's Irises by Diamond Dots, and it was like $25, and they took my $5 coupon, and I was like, well, if I don't do it now, I'm going to do it, because this is just gorgeous. And I am so morally ambitious. It didn't matter if I was ready or not. I just wanted to break the shell that I was in, and I wanted to move on to the next thing, right? Just keep growing, keep going. How far can I take this? One thing that I did do, and let's take a look at what I'm working on. I hope that you have your work in progress out, or maybe you're just listening to this as a podcast. It doesn't have to be diamond painting. It could be crocheting. It could be, drawing, whatever art, whatever your craft is. Or like I said, you could just listen along as a podcast. I am actually working on Bud here. Bud is the Tabby Cat. Look at how he came along. This is what I did my first week, because just last week was our first talk that we had about Self-Care Sundays, and I decided to work on Bud. I actually call him Buddha. There's something very mystic and magical about this painting. I love the mosaic framework. I love the green piercing eyes, and every time that I take a step back and look at this painting, I am seeing something else, some kind of mosaic that is coming to life for me. He's just really gorgeous. And I have a tabby. And so a new tabby, a rescue tabby. And I love the little kitten cover minder that came with it. So I think the first thing that I'm going to say is go easy on yourself. We are creatives, and no matter how much we love what we are doing, we are bound to experience creative burnout at some point. And mine actually came kind of out of the blue, but in hindsight, I have all the pieces, I had all the investigative pieces. And when there's a saying that when you stop investigating, the truth unfolds. But mine, I felt at the time, came out of the blue because everything was humming along beautifully. And I really couldn't put my finger on any one thing. I thought maybe it was the color scheme that I was working on, or maybe I was anxious to start something new, even though I was in the middle of something very big. But maybe I wanted something different. Was I bored with the pattern? Maybe it was none of those things. Maybe it was a little of each. And when you are in that state of uncertainty, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm starting something new, and the one thing that I did do, and I would say this to any new diamond painter, it's very easy. These YouTube channels are sexy little enticers when it comes to, I need this pen. I need this tray. You know, oh, that's going to make me, it's going to make me feel better. It might make you feel better. Okay. But there's something so beautiful about a beginning, right? Diamond Art Club presents you with a beautiful toolkit. I went gaga over Dreamer Designs toolkit. I had not seen anything like it. It was a bigger tray. Not only was it a bigger tray, it had separators in it. It had this beautiful wax that I call a hybrid between a wax and a putty. I just love their wax. I wish they would just sell it like in like packages of 10 or a dozen because I would buy it. It had beautiful washi tape. It had the cover minder. It not only had a gorgeous stylus. Let me see, is the stylus here? Oh, that's not it. But it had another stylus that came with it that was like a cone shape on the bottom that was for your AB drills to pick them up. And so you had 2 styluses, you had 3 placers, skinny placers to put on the end. And I don't say it enough in my videos that everything you have, most of the time, because I did start out with being introduced to diamond painting through Temu. I didn't know what it was. And, my son was saying, oh, you got to see this company. You can order all this stuff. And, he drug his mother into it. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but, order that for me because it seems interesting. It might be something that I might be interested in. And I was. And, when I think about how much I progressed through that one painting, but also, if I were to try and do that now, I would be like, I can't do this painting. This is just like, because I've learned too much. And of course, their tool set that they gave you was so remedial. I don't even know how I got anything done. And the canvas and the printing and everything was back, but I still was able to gain some knowledge from it. So one thing that I can impart to new diamond painters is go slow. Really. Absorb it all. Absorb what you get, use what you have, and you'll know when you're ready. Because there's that moment where you want to try something new when it comes up and it's like, you know what, I'm bored of this, And that's really what burnout is. Burnout is the mind is saying, I've had enough of this, whatever it is, and we'll go through that. I've had enough of this and I want something new. So for me, as I was saying, let me get back to Bud here. As I was saying, it really did feel like it was out of the blue and everything was just humming along very beautifully. And I really couldn't put my finger on it, but it was scaring me because I was saying to myself, I'm so glad that I didn't get involved getting all these things that, usually I would go out and buy, and I'm glad I didn't spend any extra money. But what if I did? What if I did get carried away and I went and got all the bells and whistles? Then I would really have anxiety thinking, well, you went and put yourself in this position where, honestly, I think that when you collect stuff like trays and pens and all, that's just a whole different craft. It's called collecting. And I do that with antiques. I go flea market shopping looking for, these little things that I can use around my home. And to me, it's just a whole other craft. Because another thing was, when I look at people do these small shop hauls and, maybe about once a week, they're unpackaging, a new tray, a new pen. I think to myself, like, really, how much do you... I think that it does get to be overwhelmed, and our brain just kind of gets like overloaded, like system overload. This is a lot for me to handle right now. And I did see this recently with a video where I know that the creator does a lot of small shop pulls because I watch her, but also that I'm actually looking at my door at my Prime guy if he's going to knock on my door. No, but also that I know the collection that she has. And she had stated in her review, in the review that she was doing, I really had a hard time trying to find a pen to match my diamond painting. And I thought, how the heck could that be? You have to have hundreds of pens. But her brain was on overload. And, pick a solid color out of the canvas, and I'm sure you have a diamond painting pen that's going to go with this canvas. But she was on overload, and she was like, I can't believe that I don't have a pen out of all the pens that I have to match my canvas. So sometimes it could be the color scheme. Sometimes it could be, anxiety about starting something new. That's where I was. It was a little bit of everything and a little bit of nothing. But one thing that I knew for sure is that I was getting anxious watching my drills disappear on the canvas and still having a lot of canvas to cover. So I caused myself some anxiety there because, again, this was the first time that I was using a bigger canvas. And this was now something that was happening where the drills, there were not enough. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know how to order, and where do I get from? Do I put this in the video? Is this the right person? But I found Diamond Drills USA and I got the drills. And I really only had that happen once. There was also the anxiety of wanting to start something new, but then also putting another restriction on my mind that I couldn't have anything new until I was done with the project that I was working on. And I stated this in my last video. I don't even know if I put that video up. I may not have. There was a conversation with one of the creators that I watch who had said, how many canvases do you have and how many do you work on at one time? And I have to tell you, it was a pretty lively debate about having more than one canvas, starting more than one project. And I really had to weigh it out because I've been on both sides of the fence where I didn't allow myself to get anything new until I finished something, because I know myself and I know that I can get carried away. And I could really just, especially with Diamond Art Club, come on, they're emailing us like every day about a new, look at what we got. Come on, spin the wheel, let's see how much you're going to get off of this canvas, or this is back in, this is on your wish list. I don't know what's on my wish list anymore. My wish list has about 50 canvases that I was actually thinking, this might be a good video. What's on your wish list? What's in your wallet? Well, what's on your wish list? Because there's really nothing in my wallet. With, diamond painting is an expensive project. Just the canvases to me. Some of us can afford, and God bless, to buy a lot of canvases and put them in our stash. But I've been there. I've been there where I had that discretionary money and I just bought a lot of stuff and I really never got to it. I just wanted to have it. There was the fear of the scarcity. It was going to run out and I had to get it. And this is just this is a big storm that's brewing, whether you're aware of it or not. Sip of water for the lady. I love that little water bottle that my son gave me from Live Casino in Philadelphia, where he works. Yeah. He gets great swag. So another thing that was causing me, in hindsight, 2020, this mental burnout with diamond painting was that I had a huge project and coming up. And it was the Winter Fox. And I had never done a square drill canvas. And I, again, just like the pen and the tray, wanting to try and have something new, and is it going to make a difference? I was eager to learn about square drills. When I rolled out the Winter Fox, I did it took up my entire piano. And I was having a major panic attack. Even though I was on this high, it is my best watch video. It has over 3,000 views. But I was having a panic attack, and I think I covered that up pretty good, because it was like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? I'm in the middle of this unboxing. I am trying to grow my channel, which is a lot of pressure there, because I've said it jokingly that you are a production company, you're the producer, you're the director, you're the copywriter, you're the lighting person, sound, everything. I had sound go wrong one time, and I had subscribers that were like, I really look forward to your videos and I can't hear you. And for me, it was like utter panic. I was like, oh my God, do I have to shoot this all over again? Because it was like, I think 3:00 in the morning, and I was exhausted, and I was putting this pressure on myself to say, well, I have to go figure this out now, because people are waiting to see this video. And again, the storm. It just keeps brewing. It just keeps churning. It just keeps turning. It's out in the water. Hasn't made landfall yet, but it's coming. It was one of those things. So I had the winter fox, and I had this huge project that I had wanted to start in the winter, but we were like in June, July of summer with the masters. And I was also trying to learn about all the other seasonal events that were happening. Being a new diamond painter, I still don't know. I'm like 5-6 months in doing diamond painting, and I really don't know all the events that are out there, but I knew that I wanted to participate. I wanted to be a part of all that. I just loved being a part of Drills and Chills and Summer with the Masters. I can't believe that I'm talking and diamond painting at the same time, and with square drills too. So that was another thing that was on my mind, that what was after Summer with the Masters, and it wasn't even over, and what was my next canvas going to be? If I was going to let the winter fox wait until the winter, was I going to do another master? And then what was next for the fall? And I knew about Drills and Chills, and that I had Haunting that I wanted to unbox and then start that in the fall so I could be part of that event. And like, I'm still in the middle of Summer with the Masters, and my mind is just turning. And, being new to it all, being new to YouTube, I had signed up 12 years ago, and I had made my first YouTube video this year. It's like, oh, you signed up for YouTube 12 years ago. At the time, I had a makeup company that was doing really well. I had only marketed it to makeup artists, not to the public. And I created a little bit of frenzy with my company, and I was going to only open up shop for like a few times a year when the awards were on, and duplicating looks that were seen at the award show. And I started a YouTube channel, and it was just too much work. I couldn't handle it. But again, morally ambitious and always, I guess I wanted to put pieces into place. And for all the burnout that I was beginning to feel, I still went out and purchased another huge project, and that was the moon that I got from Diamond Painting Shop. And so I also wanted to move into another distributor, because I had done Diamond Dots, and I had done Crafties and Diamond Art Club, and now I wanted that kind of another notch on my belt, that I was doing another distributor. I was doing Diamond Painting Shop, and that involved an unboxing, but somewhere along the way, and I always say that this comes from either my writing or going out, like my grandmother would tell me, go out and go take a walk. And 10 minutes into my walk, I start to have some kind of clarity, and I decide that I am going to do a baby snack. Something with a lot of color blocking and small. That was my answer to taking on these big projects with a lot of confetti. I didn't even know what confetti was. I just figured this is the way diamond painting goes. And then I heard color blocking, and I was like, well, what's that? I don't have anything like, color blocking. What does that mean? And I was like, oh yeah, I want to do that. I want to do something that has a lot of color in one area and where I can get to learn to use my placers, and I can lay down a lot of drills at once, and I can have that feeling of something being done and being accomplished and just feeling like, yeah, I'm back on track. Well, the baby snack was my first venture into square drills, which was another thing that I was saying, change what you are doing. And I'm not trying to say that because I went from big to small or from round to square, that even though I still had some challenges, that it wasn't the right call. It's just that I had some new challenges. And that's what happens when you are taking on something new and you are growing with it. And if you're anything like me and you're morally ambitious and you want to learn everything that you can in 15 minutes, we make ourselves crazy at times. And they are good things to put into place because, again, this is your hobby. It's not your job. And I came at the Summer with the Masters like a job. It was like, I was under this pressure. I was not going to be able to get it done. It was like the biggest canvas I had done so far. It was a lot of confetti. And I look at these huge canvases that people do, and I'm like, that's a baby snack for them. But not to compare myself to anyone else with something else that I learned. This is your journey. This is what you are learning along the way. And I did make some good calls with trying to help with my burnout. The one call was, again, switching to something smaller, switching to a different color palette, switching to a different drill, as long as you know that you're going to meet some challenges along the way. I just thought it was going to be a breeze. I'm going to switch all this. I'm going to turn away from all this. I'm going to turn to something new. And that's going to be the answer. And again, once you get done investigating, that's when all the pieces fall into place. And so I had new challenges. And I can't say it enough that when you are experiencing burnout, it's because the brain needs to process. It does say, I need a pause. And I always think of a painting. And if you look at any painting, maybe there's some artwork in your room right now, there's going to be places in that painting where there's not a lot of busyness. There's going to be white space. And an artist does that deliberately because she knows that when the eye is, will go directly towards the center focal point, the eye will go to where it's busy and try and make sense out of what it's seeing. The artist knows that the eye also needs a place to rest. And the mind is the same way. The mind is, just look at Bud. Look at what's going on with Bud. There's a lot going on with Bud. There's a lot of confetti, there's a lot of mosaic, and the eye needs a place to pause. And that's where this black color blocking comes in at. The eye needs a spot to rest and take a break before it gets back into the busyness of there. I guarantee you there's probably just in this small section that I have tapered off here. I should have put a piece of washi tape here. There's probably around 20 colors right in here. I'm looking at them now, and I've already counted 10 in my head that I can see 10 different symbols in there. But also, again, color blocking can also cause burnout. It's not the answer. And I've seen something very interesting where there are these huge Marvel, I think the last really big color blocking I seen was Loki, and that's a lot of black, or Karamia. She's got a lot of black in her. Now the black drills for me are difficult. I find them, am I in the right spot? Did I, especially Diamond Art Club, these are like onyx. They're like jewel toned. And I saw something really interesting. So let me just show you something something to beat the boredom for your mind, to keep your mind entertained. So some of us pick our drills up one at a time. Am I on this? Yeah. One at a time. And we do like a crosshatch pattern. Okay. So I go down on a diagonal because I'm so dyslexic, I couldn't do it any other way. But there are diamond painters out there that are not just doing a crosshatch pattern. They are, whether they're doing it intuitively, like that would be the thing for me, I would do it intuitively. They're making all different shapes in their diamond painting, where some of them are making snowflakes, some of them are making squares. I'm going to try and go back to the websites that I found this at and take a picture, and I'll put it down below. And I was like, oh my gosh, how interesting is that, to have a big space that's color blocking and use it as another creative way of giving your mind something to do and create a different shape. I just thought it was so interesting. And I was like, oh, I want to try that. And like I have this little patch of ground here to do that, and make a different shape. You can make a Christmas tree, right? But just something, if you find like, oh, I got this big, area of color blocking to do, and I'm getting tired of the black, and like, don't do it all. Don't just do rows and lines of black. Create a little different of a shape, make a kite, make a boat. I just found it so interesting. You know what it reminded me of? And if you're old enough, you'll know what I mean. A light bright. That's what it reminded me of. Those light brights that we had as kids, where you plug them in and it was just a pegboard, and you put in all these different colored pegs to make a design. That's what it reminded me of. Now, I didn't make anything so spectacular here, nothing like I saw. I was just showing you how to do a cross patch, and then I veered off into like a triangle, and I want to veer off. This isn't even really a big color block patch, but how interesting to beat the burnout. Now, another thing I want to say, and I think that this is the most important, was that I was, I'm trying to get my light on here. Doesn't want to cooperate. Always wants to do this stuff when you're in the middle of filming. So there's a diamond painter that I met on YouTube, and we just kind of hit it off. I was watching her, and then I heard her say, have any of you seen this diamond painter? Her name is Lisa Maria, and she's does diamond painting in her living room. She's got a beautiful piano behind her. And it was like, it made me think of, if you ever saw Jack Nicholson and Meryl Streep in Heartburn, there's a part in the movie where she goes to see her father and she's just distraught, and she puts the TV on, and it's like PBS Masterpiece Theater, and the person that sits in the chair, I can't remember who his name is, it is telling you about the story that you're about to see, and actually it's her life story, and even the character's name is Rachel, has her own. And I just was like, oh my God, who's talking about me? Who is this girl? Like, I turned her on because I saw these beautiful hands, and I was like, oh my gosh, this girl's got gorgeous hands. Like, I'll watch her diamond paint while I'm diamond painting. And then here she is, she's saying my name. And I had to stop what I was doing and, of course, give a shout out to her. But she's one of my favorite diamond painters. She's just taking it easy, taking it slow. She diamond paints on the, what is it called? The easel. And she diamond paints one by one. And she talks into a microphone, and she could see what she's filming, because she could see herself, and she can see what she's doing, and she could see how this is going to look, which is a great help. And she hasn't been around for a few months. And she just came back yesterday, and she came back with a new pen. I just thought it was so cute. She just got her first turning pen, and I just thought it was adorable because I have something similar. She got a clear one with the sparkles in it because we're not only crafty, we're frugal girls, and like this will go in anything, right? How much more do I need? So she's got the long one and I got the short one. I just found that so funny. We're like, I say that she's my sister from another mister, but actually I could be her mommy. And she was like, hey, y'all, I miss you. I haven't been around for a couple of months. I just needed to take a break. And I'm like, bravo for you that you went and did that you went and said, you know what, I'm going to walk away from this channel for a few months. And she's like, I figured I'd check in with you all, see what you're doing. And, I've just been enjoying fall. And I'm like, good for you. That's fabulous. I loved it. I was like, I really have to contact her and be like, you're going to love Self-Care Sunday, because not only am I giving you a shout out, but it's like the biggest thing that you can do is like walk away from your diamond painting. Because I went away for a weekend and I was like trying to relax into it, but I really I took a small diamond painting with me. So because I wasn't going through burnout or anything like that, but the best thing that I could have done was to walk away, enjoy what I was doing that weekend. I was away with my husband and we were the guests at a casino where they have like what they call it, like a water world. And yeah, we got out and there were things that he wanted to do that I didn't. And I went back to the room and I took my diamond painting out. But when I got back home, I realized how much I needed that break. I needed that break and I needed to walk away from the project that I was in the middle of. I can't even remember. It may have been the moon. Because that was a big project. And I couldn't take that with me. And I wouldn't take it with me. But it was the best thing for your brain. And this is where the artist way comes in at also. And I talked about Julia Cameron in the first episode about reclaiming your creative self, which I think I put on the graphic, of how to get your passion back for what it is that you love to do. I've been writing for a long time and I love it, but there are moments, and this is where I really beat myself up at, is when I'm going through a crisis. I just can't seem to bring myself to write, and it's one of my best tools that I have under my belt, that I've learned that you've just got to sit there and you got to put a pen in your hand and let it touch a piece of paper. And maybe you just sketch. Maybe you can't find the words to write, and so you just sketch. It's the same thing with yoga. Maybe you roll out your mat, and maybe you just practice Shavasana. Everybody thinks Shavasana is a relaxing posture. I find it to be so much more than just the last asana that you practice at the end of your practice so that you can integrate everything that you practice during that session. But Shavasana is a lot of people cannot just lay down and allow themselves to relax. I've had students pick themselves up and leave after the last asana because they don't think that Shavasana is something that they can do. And I know how important it is. And so I'll say, if you don't want to lay totally down, then get your bolster and boost yourself up a little bit, because that's the type A personality where everything is go, 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 go. And laying down is like frightening. Resting is frightening. They need to be halfway up so that they can bolt. But it's a halfway mark. The same thing with the pen on the paper. Just get your pen and just stick it on the paper. And it doesn't matter if you can't write or your hand's hurting or you're just so overwhelmed with all these emotions that you don't know what you want to do. You can't even cry sometimes. You can't even scream. You can't even cry. You're just like, where am I? I've been at those points in my life too. But to just, again, roll out a mat. And if you roll out a mat and you lay on it, it's the most courageous thing that you can do, to turn off your mind and be with yourself. That's where the courage comes in at, where you are with yourself and anything that comes up, and you just let it bubble up to the surface. And I know it sounds like such a cliche, but you could have that pen next to you there too. And you could write out whatever it is that's coming up. And I think I said this in my last video, and that I didn't put up. And I might just put it up now because so many things are coming back full circle. I was sitting here diamond painting, and I was doing lilac, and I wasn't thinking about anything. And all of a sudden I heard a remark that was passed in my house by someone who I'm no longer speaking to. And it got back to me. And the truth loves me. I've been saying that since I was a kid. The truth loves me. I love the truth. The truth loves me. And it always finds me. And it was really from an obscure person that, not anyone that's related to me or a friend or anything, that carried this message back. And, they're a very good person. They're upstanding person, very benevolent person. And they had just met John and I, and they were like, you two are wonderful people. You're so good. I would think that you were married for like 100 years. And I'm like, yeah, we really are, cut from the same cloth in so many different ways. And she said, I don't know why there's so much buzz around you two. That's negative. And I know why. My husband's a musician. He's a very good looking man. He's very charismatic. He's very outgoing. He had a big life. And he's he was a bachelor. I've known him. I went to school with him from when I was a kid, and if anybody would have told me one day I would marry him, I'd be like, no, I don't have the patience for that. He's just too much. I tried to set him up with my girlfriend at my father's wake. And I said, come with me in the ladies' room. And she said, yeah, okay. And I said, oh, so you and Johnny, you've been hanging out like all day today. And she's like, what's going on in your head? I see something happening. And I'm like, listen, you always tell me you can't meet anybody. And sometimes it's the guy that's right under your nose. He's handsome. He's got a great job. He's stable. He's stable. He owns his own home. That's what I meant. He's been in his job for years. He's charismatic. He's funny. You're the same way. Single, never been married, no kids. He likes vodka. I know you love vodka. And she's looking at me and she's got this she's so entertained by, my nickname in high school was Cupid, because all I did was get people together, match them up, and they had long relationships. So I'm like, listen, look at you. You're gorgeous. You're funny. You're outgoing. You love vodka. You have no kids. You've never been married. It's right in front of you. And she said, no, I don't have the patience for that. I'm like, it's like looking in a mirror. What are you talking about? And she said, no, I'd have to walk around with a rolled up piece of paper. And I'm waiting for the rest of it. And I'm like, I know somewhere in your mind, walking around with a rolled up piece of paper, newspaper, she said, is making sense to you. But what does that mean? She's like, he's like a dog that jumps on the furniture. I'd have to hit him to get down. I said, I'm done. I'm done with you. And I don't know, maybe I planted a seed in my own mind somewhere, but I was not looking at my husband in any way that said future prospect. It just happened, and I'm very happy that we found each other. I don't even know where I was in this talk, but other than, finding the break may be enough to conquer your burnout, that when you come back with fresh eyes, could be a day, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, like Megan, 2 months, or you could find another art form. And now that's what I want to circle back to. There was that big discussion about how many diamond paintings do you have? And it really sparked a debate between not starting a new one until you're finished, and yes, I want all the diamond paintings that I like. Another drink for the lady. And again, I was on both sides of that fence, and I have to say, when I gave myself permission to start a diamond painting while I was in the middle of another diamond painting, let me think about what that was, because I know. Because even my husband said to me when I was in the middle of Summer with the Masters, he said, I knew that when I came home from work, you were going to be sitting at this desk, diamond painting. And I knew that when I left for work, you'd be sitting at the desk with a cup of coffee, diamond painting. You didn't move. And like I said, at the time, it was complete joy for this craft that I was learning and really enjoying. But at some point, it became anxiety and it became a job. And I should have known better to say, I need to step away from this. But there's that other part of me that says, no, you committed to doing something and you're going to get it done. And, that's a whole road of self-discovery right there. Let me tell you, talk about self-care. And again, if you want to pose that question to yourself where you ask it and get yourself a composition book. I think most people don't write or they think that they can't write because, and I think it's one of the best self-care tools that you can have, is because they go out and they want to be Jane Austen. The same way we go out and buy our fancy diamond pens, right? Diamond painting pens. They go out, they buy, I have a friend that will only write with a fountain pen. I'm like, you're always a mess. You always have ink all over you. What are you doing to yourself? And, the leather-bound journal, the whole, and, she's creating the world she wants to live in. Okay? But I started out as a writer when my girlfriend Anna Chang from the Ink Pad, the owner of the Ink Pad, said to me, Elisa, what are you doing this evening? And I said, I don't know, I guess just going home. And she said, would you come with me to a class? I have an extra ticket. I said, well, what's it on? This is my creative outlet. I'm working at, New York's only rubber stamp store. What is it? And she's like, it's a writing class. And I'm like, oh no. And she's like, nobody wants to come to this class with me, and words are my life. And I said, I don't know, Anna. I don't know that this is going to be something that I'm going to resonate with. So I think I have the book right here. Right here. Here we go. And I think that this might even be Anna's copy. I think she gave it to me. She gave it to my son. Journal to the Self, 22 Paths to Personal Growth. I went to this class and I became obsessed. And I'll tell you why I became obsessed. I have all different things as bookmarks in my books. I was looking to see if this is the one that Anna wrote in. No, so this is mine because she signed the one to my son. And so the author was there, Kathleen Abrams, was at the New York Open Center, the same place that I saw Julia Cameron from The Artist's Way. And she was saying how you could work through your whatever it is that comes up in your life, whether it's problems, whether it's relationships, whether it's a way to interpret your dreams, whether it's how to discover subpersonalities, if you're dealing with grief, how to overcome childhood wounds. And when I was sitting in my home and I heard this remark that was passed about me and my husband, actually had to do with a photograph. It was a holiday picture, and my cousin was here, who was very supportive of our relationship. He knew, I never discussed my prior marriage with anyone, or the sadness that I was feeling, or just the lack of hope that I was just in this marriage, and that was it, till death do us part. And my cousin was here with his wife and his daughter, and my son was here, and my husband was here, and my cousin bought a cake from one of my, you guys know how I am with my cookies, and that's a whole other story that I want to get into with them cookies. I'm very mad at Erwin. He's happy on the box, but I'm not. And so he brought me a cake from my favorite bakery, and we're all holding the cake and we're smiling. And the remark was made by someone in my family that said, "Oh, look at them trying to act like a real family, like they're happy." And it was so hurtful. But then I just thought, like, what is it like living in your mind that you would say something so hurtful? And when I sat down and I was like, well, that's a good journal question. You know, where is this coming from? Why am I still holding on to this? This was like when John and I had just first started dating. So it was like 2 years ago, because we'll be married 2 years in December. And I'm like, why did I just hear that? And it reminded me of Maya Angelou too, who would say, watch what you say in my home, because your words stick to my walls. And that's something, like sometimes you just hear something and it just sticks with you, and that stuck with me. And so I was wondering where that came from. And what I discovered about that remark was, this is a person that doesn't know wouldn't know what joy was, can't see the true happiness on my face, because she doesn't know what true happiness is. She doesn't know what joy is. And so the greatest thing that you could take away from this book is Kathleen Abrams says to go out and go get yourself a composition book. She calls it her dollar store therapist. And so after having this class with her where she gave us a few exercises, and I will tell you, the one that I thought was like, this woman's crazy, is my favorite exercise to do, right? You always find those, when you break through the shell, you grow. So I call it the 100. I don't know what it's actually called in here. There's the 79-cent therapist. I don't know what she actually calls it, but I call it the 100. So she says to, no, I don't even know which one it is, okay? Because what she teaches you is how to springboard, to do a character sketch, clustering, capturing moments. Maybe that's what it is. Lists. It's just under lists. So what she says to do is to pick something, a topic. So let's just say diamond painting. And you make a list from 1 to 100, and you list 100 things that you like about diamond painting. And I'm like, I would be done like after 10. I can list 100 things. I think I list 115 things, because once you get through, I can't do it, whatever. Whatever's going on, whatever you're telling yourself. And you could repeat a few things, just keep the pen moving. It's so, like, sometimes I'm like, I need a break from this. What do I want to do? I really don't want to get into like a stream of consciousness writing in my journal. But I would love to do an exercise. And that's where this comes in at. And I bought a journal, and I wish I had my first journal with me, my first composition book. I have about 3 of them here right now. This is my diamond painting journal composition book. But my first composition book that was just about writing went with me everywhere. I put it in my handbag, and I took it everywhere, because there was always a moment in my life that was so effed up at that time, excuse the French, but I would run in churches just to have peace and quiet and sit and write. I was living in New York, and New York just doesn't sleep. And that was my big secret about living in New York, was if you want peace and quiet, go find a church. It's really quiet in there. And there was a church across the street from my cafe, and I would run in the church and I would sit and write. And I wrote, all the way up, at the border. I wrote alongside the margins. I wrote upside down. I wrote backwards. I wrote things in the back. I wrote on the cover. I didn't want this book to end. That's how much it made me grow into getting clarity about who I was and who I thought I was because it was the opinion of somebody else. How to turn off the noise of everyone else's voice and just hear my own. And there's something so wonderful when you feel lost. And I made a joke in my last video by Yogi Berra. He's like, we might be lost, but we're making good time. I might have been lost, but I was making great time because I was finding myself really quickly between Kathleen, I want to call her Abrams, right? Abrams. And yeah. And Julie Cameron with The Artist's Way. Those two women, mavericks in their field. Love them both. They really broke my shell. And then I started to venture into other areas of people that, when you clear the way, when you clear the junk and the smoke away from you, things start coming at you because they can. Before, they couldn't get through. You didn't see them, even though they were right in front of you. Now you see them. And then my next big author was, of course, Mark Nepo. I just said to my husband this morning, I think I need to have this book bound. If you take your book, I believe, to Barnes & Noble, and it's like mine. They will bind it for you. They will put a hardcover on it because I have so many notes and so many folded pages. And I wonder if I asked them, would they add maybe a few pages after each one of the little reflections that he has daily. May I put my own notes, more notes, because every time I read this is 365 days, and I've been carrying this now. I just had a Facebook memory come up of me teaching yin yoga for 6 years, and that was in 2019. So 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, add another 5, 11 years. So I've been carrying this around for 11 years. Yeah, I just love this book. I could just hold it and kiss it. I love it so much. So let me give you a reading here. And I said it so many times because this is what I read this morning, and it's for today. How I just love the way, another thing that when you start to find ways to clear all the noise away from you, that synchronicity starts to come in. And this is actually the reading for November the 12th, which is tomorrow. I'm doing this today so that I can have it up for you. And it's called Burning the Wrapper. This was my little bookmark in here. This was my Nikki. It's called Burning the Wrapper. From the beginning, the key to renewal has been shedding, the casting off of old skin. The Polynesians say the world began when Teora, the name for their creator, woke to find himself growing inside a shell. He stretched and broke the shell, and the earth was created. Teora kept growing, though, and after time found himself inside another shell. Again, he stretched and broke the shell, and this time the moon was created. Again, Teora kept growing, and again he found himself contained by yet another shell, this time breaking forth and creating the stars. And when I was reading this, I could not help but think of the creative journey of diamond painting, of how I broke my thinking and how I broke the shell of I have to do it this way, or I can't do more than one diamond painting at a time, or maybe I will buy myself a pen, and just to have the experience of having something that was made just for me. And this is how you grow, right? You break the shell and you keep creating new things on your journey. And I use this pen for everything. To me, it matches everything. I don't need to have one that's going to be green or orange. It goes with everything as far as I'm concerned. Look, there's even like little leopards in there to go with my majestic feline here. In this ancient story, the Polynesians have carried for us the wisdom that we each grow in this life by breaking successive shells, that the peace of God, whatever that means to you, within each of us stretches until there's no room to be. And then the world as we know it must be broke so that we can be born anew. In this way, life becomes a living of who we are until that form of self can no longer hold us. And like Teora in his shell, we must break the forms that contain us in order to birth our way into the next self. This is how we shed our many ways of seeing the world. Not that any are false, but that each serves its purpose for a time until we grow and they no longer serve us. Again, that made me think of diamond painting. Maybe because that's what was on my mind on this reading. You know, we see something different, and not because that any of them are false. Like I was thinking when I was switching from a big canvas to a small canvas and a round drill to a square drill. But the round drills have served their purpose, and now it was time to break the shell, and it was time to grow, and it was time to venture into the square drills. I have lived through many lives. The first of me, so eager to be great, to set things ablaze, shunned everything that was ordinary. That was me as a diamond painter beginning. I hunted the burn of a champion's hip and wanted to be a great musician too, to be famous and extraordinary. But as I grew, the notion of fame left me lonely in the night. Thrones, no matter how pretty, have only room for one. The second of me wanted to be covered by waves, inhale the stars, and move like a song. Now I wanted to be the great music itself. But to be great, but to be the great thing was still as lonely as it was magnificent. The third of me gave up on greatness. It was how I let others draw close. I asked more questions, not really interested in answers, but more the face, below the face, about to speak. And then during cancer, there came yet another self. There, bent and distorted in the hospital chrome as the late sun flooded my pillow. I was dead in the chrome, alive on the pillow, a quiet breath between dead, alive at once, and oddly, it did not scare, for I felt the pulse of life in the quiet breath, and the place to which I transcended is here. Almost dying was another shell I had to break. It has led me to realize that each self unfolds, just one concentric moon en route to another, each encompassing the last. I would believe in a rival, but for all their rivals, I've broken on the way. And that's what I'm going to leave you with, my little doves. My little doves here. You know, what shell are you going to be breaking this week? Is it the shell of I can't start another canvas until this one is done? Is it the shell of diamond painting the way that you want to diamond paint? Really try that creative exercise with the color blocking. I'm going to try and find where I saw that at. I thought it was so interesting. And give yourself the time to have your mind catch up, because really that's what's going on. Just like Shavasana, when we have to integrate the class and we take that time to let it all marinate. Let it all marinate. You know, take some time to walk away, try something new. Maybe you get one of those books. Maybe you try one of the exercises. You don't even have to buy the book. Just do a list of 100. But it's so compelling, that book. It's a book of exercises. Or maybe, again, it's Julia Cameron that sparks your interest. I really have to get her into one of my self-care Sundays where we talk a little bit about that whole creative journey of being an artist. And everyone is an artist. Everyone. I don't care. It doesn't mean that you're doing a craft. Life is an art. So everyone is an artist. And I did happen to get a few lines down on Bud. So I'm going to do some work on him after I stretch and get some water because I'm out. Here, I faked that last sip a little bit. There was like a drop in there. And yeah, you too. Get up, take a stretch, get some water. Don't forget to stretch your hands. bend your fingers back. My husband is a guitarist and a pianist, and he does this. He stretches this way. He stretches his fingers this way, out to the side. He likes to get into the webbing. Don't crack your knuckles. Don't do that. I don't know if it's an old wives' tale. I think that they proved that, you know, if you crack your knuckles, I think the old wives' tale was if you crack your knuckles are going to get bigger. I don't think that's true, but just do what feels good. And I will see you in the next one. And the next one might be the one that I thought I wasn't going to put up, but I might, because it's Lilac and her hair is done. Lilac's hair is done. And I just couldn't wait to get my hands on that hair, and it's done. And so maybe I'll put her up too. I don't know. All right. Stay warm and cozy and create the world that you want to live in. I'm doing it for me, and I'm doing it for you. Bye, friends.